Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Recha Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And today we're going to go into the book of Genesis, the 39th chapter. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him off the hands of the Ishmaelites, or the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither. And this is after they had bought him from the hands of his brethren. And the Lord Yahweh was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master the Egyptian, that is, Potiphar. And his master saw that the Lord Yahweh was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand. So Potiphar quickly took notice that the hand of God was upon Joseph, and everything he did prospered. Whatever task he put Joseph to do, it would be successful, and then some. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and made him overseer over his house, and all that he had he put into his hand. So eventually he started to give Joseph more and more of a greater responsibility, to the point where Joseph was now basically overseeing everything that was in the household of Potiphar. And it came to pass from the time that he made him overseer in his house, and over all that he had, that the Lord Yahweh blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. So now, having Joseph being the overseer the whole time that he was there, whether it was cattle or plants or whatever the case is, it all, flourished, right? He had an abundance. Everything went well. Harvest season, planting season, everything. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught he had, save the bread which he did eat. Meaning Potiphar had so much trust in Joseph that he himself wasn't even aware of the count of his possessions, because it was all taken care of by Joseph, except except for all that he would eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored, and that goes into also his appearance, right? That he was handsome. He had a good build, and so a decent young man. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph. So she started to lust after Joseph. And she said, "Lie with me." But he refused, and said, and which means for him to have sex with her. And he said unto his master's wife, "Behold, my master wotteth not what is with me in the house." Meaning, his master is not even aware of the things that are in the house. And he hath committed all that he hath into my hand, right? And that's because he trusts me so much that he doesn't even concern himself with those things. There is none greater than this, in this house than I. Neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee. So everything is in, basically anything Joseph wanted, his master would have given him, obviously, except for his wife. And that's what Joseph is trying to explain to her. Because thou art his wife, how then can I can I do this great wickedness and sin against God in committing adultery with you? And it came to pass, as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her to lie by her or to be with her. So she kept trying to seduce him day by day, looking for little opportunities here and there, maybe trying to touch him a certain kind of way. And he just, he would just constantly resist it. Like, no, that's not, nope, 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 nope. Try to avoid her. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business. So, one of the days when Joseph went into the house to conduct his work, maybe to record some numbers or whatever the case is that he was doing. And there was none of the men of the house there within, that she caught him by his garment, saying, "Lie with me." And he left his garment in her hand and fled, and got him out. So she basically was like, "Oh, you gonna take it by force, you know, whether you want to or yes." And he was able to, maybe a little struggle, but he was able to uh, flee because she grabbed his garment. So he was able to probably unravel himself out of it and then run out. And it came to pass when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and was fled forth, that she called unto the men of her house and spake unto them, saying, See, he hath brought in an Hebrew unto us to mock us. He came in unto me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice. So basically, when she saw that he wasn't going to do it, but she had his garment with her, she tried to frame him. So she calls the men, right, of the house, and she says, Look, this Potiphar went and brought this Hebrew to come and make a fool out of us. And here it is. He tried to come and lie with me. And when I said no, and I screamed, right, verse 15, and it came to pass when he heard that I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled and got him out. So she made it seem like Joseph was the one who tried to come and force himself onto her. And when she screamed, he ran away and ended up leaving his garment. And she laid up his garment by her until his Lord came home. So she basically kept his garment so she could use it to frame him even more. And she spake unto him according to these words, saying, The Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came in unto me to mock me, i.e., he tried to fool around with her. That's what she's saying. And it came to pass, as I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and fled out. Now, number one, Joseph was a servant, right, in Potiphar's house. So if it came down to his word versus hers, chances are Potiphar was going to listen to his wife. Number two, there's a scripture that mentions in the Apocrypha not to speak to a woman concerning whom she is jealous. And the scriptures also tell you jealousy is the rage of a man. So even if it's not true, the way she's saying it, his emotions get involved. And he's not analyzing the situation. He's like, nah, I gave you everything, and this is what you're trying to do now. You're trying to go for my wife? So Potiphar wasn't trying to hear it. And it came to pass when his master heard the words of his wife, which he spake unto him, saying, After this manner did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the prison. And the Lord was with Joseph, and shewed him mercy, and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. So he was in prison, but, the Lord ended up having it to where, as we're about to read, and the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison. So now Joseph became almost like an overseer of the prisoners. And whatsoever they did there, he was a doer of it. So he was in charge. And the keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord Yahweh was with him, and that which he did, the Lord made it to prosper. So the warden, you could say, wasn't concerned about any matters that were going on in the prison, because he trusted that however Joseph would take care of it, it would come out right, because the Lord was with him. And that brings us to the end of the book of Genesis, the 39th chapter. And Lord willing, that was edifying to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham, Recha Kodash. And until next time, Shalom.